No, you are your mind, right? You. Y-O-U-U. In the mind, one, isn't it? That you are your thoughts, correct? When I talk about you, when I say you, you are your thoughts, right? If no thoughts, you are not you. I'm not playing some mind games with you, I'm just saying. You, thoughts, one. If no thoughts, you are not there. Am I right? Because you are defined by your thoughts. You are this personality because the way you speak, the way you think. Right? If you don't speak and you don't think, you disappear. Am I wrong? Or right? Or am I wrong and right? Which one? Are you you? And you are thoughts? Without thoughts, you are not you. So who are you? Who are you without thoughts? When you sleep, do you have thoughts? When you sleep, you don't have thoughts, isn't it? That means you are not you. When you're sleeping, you are not you because you don't have thoughts. Am I correct? Because you just said that you are your thoughts. You say just now, you are thoughts. Without your thoughts, you are not you. When you are sleeping, you don't have thoughts. You are unaware of thoughts. It's just that 7 or 8 hours which you sleep, you are not there. You wake up, you continue with your life. But in that sleep, you are not there because you are not you. When you wake up, you are you because of your thoughts, right? You wake up, then you think, I'm Dina. Right? And then continue your life. And then when you sleep, you take away Murali, and then you sleep because you are not you. Then who are you then? Now when you sleep, it is easy, you are not you because there are no thoughts. When you are awake, you are you. But when you are awake, when there are no thoughts, then you are not you. Now, let's say your mind, you are functioning, you are awake. Suddenly, as you are talking to someone, you're talking as you, isn't it? As this person. Suddenly all thoughts disappear. All thoughts disappear. What happens to you? Can you continue? We can't continue. It is a kind of amnesia. At that moment, you lose your memory, you don't know who you are. This, in a different language, is also called a trance state. Now if you go to some ceremonies, some rituals, I don't want to mention any names, you see that to a certain chant or certain sound or even a shift of awareness, they go into a trance state. They are no more the person whom you knew as. Right? They assume a new identity, a new characteristic. Even their facial expression changes, their voice changes, their mannerism changes. It is a new person. Though they look as the person whom you knew all the time, but during that trance state, that old you disappears and something else comes into their consciousness. They totally transform. Absolutely. A new person comes in. So, the definition of personality is not static. It can change any time. When you were very, very young, an infant, you were different. And then when you were, let's say, just before preschool, you were different from an infant. And then when you went to school, the first 3 years and the last 3 years, you would have been very different. And then when you went to the secondary, you also tremendous transformation, especially after puberty. A totally new person starts to be operating in your consciousness. And then upper secondary, and then university, and then working life, and then after you, then continue life. So, do you see a lot of changes? That a person whom you were when you were a child and now totally different. What you liked when you were children, what you like to eat when you were children, if someone gives to you right now, would you enjoy eating it? Would you enjoy eating baby food right now? You won't enjoy. Would you enjoy given toys which you enjoyed as a baby? Given now. Would you do that? If someone buys a gun, toy gun, start playing. What do you think? So you have changed, isn't it? So you don't know who you are. Because it has been changing all the time. Now during Kriya you find yourself. Because at that time, when you are doing all these practices, what happens to your thoughts which you just said just now is you. You say then I am my thoughts. If they are my thoughts, I am not myself. If you talk about you, this person, and this is how he thinks, this is how he speaks, this is how he articulates, this is how he writes, this is how he behaves. All this behavior and all that is because of what he thinks that he should do or she should do. This is all based on the mind stuff, the thoughts, the memories, the feelings. All based on what? Thoughts. And thoughts, you and thoughts one. Right? Take away the thoughts, you disappear. Now coming back to Kriya, when you are doing the Kriya, the thoughts are not primary anymore. Primary means what? Main. It is not the main importance. It is not the main state that you are. You are thinking all the time. During your wakeful time, you are thinking all the time. There was a research in some university in the US, they had a lot of time. They had so much time that they started investigating how many thoughts people think in a day. So they have a lot of times. They got a lot of time and the government gave them money. Interesting. So, but it was a very important discovery that they had. Now yogis also had done this. They went another step. They started counting the number of breath in a day. Yes. So which means they had a lot of thought, a lot of time. So this group of scientists in this university, this was about 15, maybe about not so old, maybe 7 or 8 years old. When I was reading it, I was quite amazed that that they had this kind of awareness to study, because this is usually the work of yogis and meditators. So consciousness is being studied by Western science, which is good, which will eventually show that the mind, once it has been understood, it can be trained as a medicine. The mind can become a medicine. So they say that a person on average has about 60,000 thoughts a day. Every time you think, there's a chemical reaction that takes place in the brain and it burns energy. For a chemical transaction or reaction to take place in the brain, you need energy. Energy is consumed. 50 thoughts a minute is quite a lot, because we have 1 minute 60 seconds. So every second we are thinking one thought. 1 second you have one thought. Wow, it's quite a lot. Okay, you can't even count 1 second. The moment you count 1 second, it's gone. Okay, now, so we consume so much of energy a minute. And if the thought that you think is emotional in nature, more energy is consumed, right? When you are angry, the thought is of anger, right? You can only be angry if you are motivated by an angry thought. Can you be angry when there is no thoughts? How can you be angry when there is no thoughts? Isn't it? So you are conditioned to act from a thought. If the thought is anger, your consumption of energy is tremendous. Enormous energy is consumed. Sadness, lots of energy is consumed. Positive, energy is still consumed. But the energy gives you a positive state. So if this is how our energy is being wasted, so much thoughts, 500 thoughts a minute, 50 thoughts, 50 thoughts a minute, 60,000 thoughts in one day, so much is consumed. So their discovery, that was not so important. What they discovered was 80% of the thoughts that we think today is repeated the next day. %80 of the thoughts that you thought in the second day is repeated the third day. 80% repeated the 4th day. 80% repeated the 5th day. Such a waste of energy. We are actually thinking the same thing. I consider that as a great waste. Great waste of human potential. Great waste of human life. Talking about 80% of your daily life repeated the same way that we were thinking. The mental world, our mental world is the same. Every day, 80% of the time is the same. And those people who are in a state of depression or having some form of mental illness, it goes to up to about 90-95%. Those who are totally mentally incapacitated and have no capacity to have any mental awareness, it is 100%, because there is no change in their life. It's the same. Every day is the same. There's no life. It's living in the past. So 80% means we are living in the past, isn't it? The next day 80% is living in the past. 80% of our life is living in the past. So how to rectify this? Unfortunately, there was no technology given. So the studies have. The studies say this, but no technology is given to overcome it. The technology was given 5,000 years ago. No one looked at it, except you, looking at it right now. In order to rectify the mind which is living in the past. The mind which is living in the past, which you cannot fight with the mind, you cannot change the mind with the mind, because the mind which you are trying to change is the mind from the past. So trying to change the mind through self-development techniques, through this and that, eventually leads to failure, because you are working with a mind which is living in the past, which is repeating 80% of the things that it is saying again and again. So it is difficult to change. But eventually, some having very strong willpower, they eventually change. How many of them have that kind of opportunity? Don't have. So yoga comes into the picture. The reason why yoga is so popular now, over the last 10 years, very, very popular in most countries out of India. But India has always been famous. I mean, always been popular among the yogis, of course. You know? So what it came out, it's been very popular because eventually, in the beginning, about 110 years ago, 120 years ago, when Vivekananda went to the West and spoke about yoga, he spoke about this. He spoke about what I'm speaking about, the changes that can take place in the consciousness. And then after that, slowly change until it has become a physical culture. It is only about how flexible one is, how toned one is, how well one can balance, how much slimming can occur in my body, how much I can sweat. All this is not yoga at all. Yoga is about that fundamental change which we need to have in our consciousness. So now when you are practicing yoga, 80% which is being repeated yesterday will eventually leave you, because when you are practicing Kriya, it is being in the present. You expand the 20% to become 100%. When you are practicing Kriya, you are at that moment, for that 1 hour, completely in your most creative state.